What's up, everybody? With the start of Season 5 of Modern Warfare 3 Warzone last week, not only did we get the STG overall mid-range aggressive meta for AR, but we also got a buff to the TAQ Eradicator. The TAQ Eradicator was kind of in the edge of meta adjacent, and then this new buff was a big minimum damage buff. If you don't know, maximum damage is up close, then you have minimum damage that's far range. Of course, you have mid and near mid in between, but minimum damage is your long range damage, and it was a significant buff. If I remember correctly, it went from 4 base minimum damage up to 8, and that is a pretty big buff. If you've been around Warzone a long time, you know that anything damage can make a huge change, and that's exactly what it did for the TAQ Eradicator. Of course, when you're in the mid range, STG and the SVA are still going to be dominant. But if you're looking at a long range option, both of those fall off really hard. And the Holger 26 got a small nerf as well. And if you're not as concerned with the mobility where the Holger 26 is, and you are more concerned with a practical time to kill because your mobility is going to be more reliant on whatever SMG you're rotating with, and then you switch for long engagements like so many players do, your AR LMG mobility is not as big of a deal, and that leads to TAQ Eradicator long range meta. You have your sniping meta, of course. You have your mid range meta, which is STG, and if it catches a nerf, yay. And then you have your long range meta, which is where the LMGs come into play in Urzikstan Warzone, and the TAQ Eradicator is more the same as this. The TTK is way stronger for the TAQ Eradicator after everything else has dropped off. And it's better than the Holger 26. So overall, I would say this is your big map meta beam weapon. There's not a lot of recoil. It's a little more than the STG, but it's pretty much all vertical. So just pull down, and you should be able to control it. And this thing is definitely the strongest option if you're not going to be super aggressive on big map and you're not playing Rebirth. I would go to the TAQ Eradicator. Of course, if you are aggressive and you're fighting within 40 meters, or you're playing on Rebirth, Fortune's Keep, Vondel, probably stick with the STG. But if you're a more passive AR player, definitely check out the TAQ Eradicator. As usual, we'll jump into the loadout, and then we'll go to true data for people that want to look at it by numbers. But without further ado, let's go to the loadout. Okay, so of course we're starting off with the new, very popular Quartermaster Suppressor. Of course, the Quartermaster Suppressor helps you with gun kick control and recoil control tremendously. And it's undetectable by radar. If you look, it's a massive 23% horizontal recoil, and then 10% in gun kick and vertical recoil. You do, like I said, lose the ADS sprint to fire, but it's a long range LMG, so I'm not concerned. 23% horizontal recoil is a huge benefit. Then, of course, we look at barrels. We go Conquer 70 long barrel, helps with the aim idle sway, which is going to help you be more accurate, as well as bullet velocity and range. The short barrel helps with movement and sprint to fire speed. SMG, so we don't care. And the other light barrel is hip fire and tack spread barrel, and the sprint to fire barrel, which we're not worried about on an LMG. Then we have the MWIII heavy support grip as usual, helps with that aim idle sway and that firing aim stability, and also that horizontal recoil. It does hurt vertical recoil, but just pull down, and we have the Quartermaster Suppressor helping that. In fact, the vertical recoil penalty is plus 4%. The Quartermaster is minus 10%. So getting a 6% buff by combining these two, but you are getting 23% horizontal recoil there, and then the MWIII heavy support grip is giving you another 8%, so 31% horizontal recoil control. Definitely worth using the MWIII. Of course, if you're not as worried about the firing aim stability and you just want to eliminate horizontal recoil, although with the build I have, you pretty much already have, you can go with the paracord grip, which does help the ADS movement speed as well as sprint to fire speed, which is something that this gun lacks compared to like the Holger 26, and is a huge benefit to the horizontal recoil and no penalty on the vertical recoil. But I do like the MWIII heavy support grip because the paracord grip does not offer aim firing stability, which is the visual recoil, which has been a big problem since Warzone 2. Whereas you look here and you get the firing aim stability. So I still default to the MWIII heavy support grip, but try out the paracord grip if you want to try something different. Of course, optic is your choice. I like using the Coil Eagle's Eye, which also plays into wanting to help that firing aim stability through the heavy. But if you're somebody who likes the Jack Glassless, where you're getting the firing aim stability and you can one times, definitely worth considering switching to paracord grip. because that or the horizontal recoil benefit is stronger with no vertical recoil penalty. But once again, I would only go with the paracord grip if you times and you're going with the jack glassless. Then finally, because it's an LMG, we're not worried about magazine. If you're playing solos, you could consider the 45 round mag, just because it helps the aim down, sight speed, fire speed, sprint reload, and reload quickness, and you won't need your default 75 rounds if you're playing solos. But I still think that'd be a waste of an attachment. And so finally, we land on the TAQ Eradicator core stock, which helps with gun kick control, more firing aim stability, and recoil control. The recoil gun kick control is 23%. The horizontal and vertical recoils are another 5%. Now we're at 36% on horizontal recoil. There is pretty much none at this point. And this helps balance out the negatives of the heavy support grip on vertical recoil as well. So this is the loadout I would recommend. The only changes I would consider really are swapping out the heavy support grip for the paracord grip if you're going to use that glassless. Because recoil is so good, and this is 5% here, you could drop the TAQ Eradicator stock if the bullet velocity feels lacking, and you could go with the high velocity or the high grain to help both. And that does help the bullet velocity a lot, but the bullet velocity is already pretty good. It's still over 1,000, although I did think it felt kind of weak. But like I said, this is the loadout I would recommend. If you were just here for the loadout, thank you so much for watching. Please forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more, and check out my Twitch and all my socials linked down below. For the rest of us, we're going to go ahead and jump over to True Game Data and look at this TAYs and some. Okay, so now we're over at True Game Data. You can see I loaded in the TAQ Eradicator with the build I just gave, the Holger 26 with the build that I would recommend, STG with the build that I talked about in the other STG video a couple days ago, which I will link down below, and the SVA typical loadout. We're going to come down. We're going to look. This is just on chest shots, and you can see the STG. It's just so stupid broken, like we talked about in the other video, compared to your other options, up until 42 meters, and then it's worse than the Eradicator. So outside of 42 meters, chest shots, Eradicator's already better. Like I said, if you're playing a little more passive and the gaps are a little bit bigger, I would recommend the Eradicator over the other two AR options. And you can see that the time to kill is pretty significant now between the TAQ Eradicator and the Holger. If we look at combination shots, and like, well, we're just going to use typical combination shots and typical estimated percentages from True Game Data. We're not going to play around with those much because I trust them. And so, 15% headshots, 5, neck 5, chest 27, stomach 20, upper arm 13, lower arm 5, upper leg 10, and lower leg 5% of your shots. And it didn't really change the chart all too much, but you can see that the TAQ Eradicator, let's just go to where the SVA drops off because that's the last drop-off point. The TAQ Eradicator kills in 803 milliseconds with the combination, and the next closest is going to be the Holger with 920. So we're looking at 117 millisecond difference. That's pretty significant in Warzone. Where it can lack is your ADS move speed, not as big of a deal. But the ADS time's pretty much the same with the Holger. Of course, they're getting smoked by the STG in that case. The bullet velocity is better than the Holger as well, but it is behind the STG and the SVA, which are virtually the same. Its crouch speed is the lowest, just like the ADS speed. Its fire rate is the second worst, which, slower fire rates are less forgiving. Then we have the hit scan range is behind both ARs, but ahead of the Holger. The mag size is the biggest of the three, and remember the SVA and the SCG both had to have mags added onto it. The Holger's is just stock 60. The reload time is faster than the Holger, but slower than both ARs, so better than the Holger there. Sprint speed is the slowest of the three. The sprint to fire speed is actually better than everything except for the SVA. And then what else is important is TAQ sprint speed is the slowest, and it's close. And so you do have a slower moving LMG. That time to kill is so worth it. Just rotate with your SMG hand. That won't even matter. Or the movement speed TAQ Eradicator won't matter. So I would definitely recommend checking out the Eradicator if you play more passive, you play a lot more big map, and you aren't closing gaps as much. Especially like if you like to run AR LMG and your team is sniping, so gaps in the fights are a little bit further. definitely recommend trying out the TAQ Eradicator, or if you're just bored of the Holger, the SVA, try something else. Definitely give the Eradicator a chance. And let me know in the comments what you think of the Eradicator. Have you tried it? Have you not? Are you gonna, or are you gonna stick with ARs? You're gonna stick with sniping? Let me know down in the comments. And if you like this type of content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can see first. I will be having a video about overall loadouts, long range options, short range options. I might put sniper on long range options or do a sniper video itself, and then of course sniper sports. So if you want to see that content first, make sure you hit that notification bell. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, in the description, I do have my Twitch and all my social. Follow me anywhere else, check me out anywhere else. Please feel free. Always makes my day when I comment, likes, follows, whatever. Always makes my actions on platform. And I will link True down below if you want to check this out for yourself. But I will see you on Urzikstan, Vondel, Fort, and Rebirth Island. Brian.